Welcome, everyone. My name is Will Moss. I'm the CEO of HBCUconnect.com. And we have a professional development session with GE Appliances. So thanks to the GE Appliances team. We'll introduce them shortly. But wanted to introduce myself. My name is Will Moss. I'm the CEO and founder of HBCU Connect. And welcome to our 2024 Fall Virtual Conference and Career Fair with HBCU Connect. So super excited to be here. So let's go ahead and get started. And the way I like to start, this is going to be like a fireside chat, right? So you all will have the chance to ask questions and engage as we go in the latter part of this session. But I have prepared some questions to ask as well. So that's going to kind of guide the first part of our conversation. But before we get into that, let's introduce our speakers from GE Appliances. So Demetrius, let's start with you. If you could introduce yourself, maybe a little bit about what you do at GE Appliances.
Hey everyone, my name is Demetrius Robertson. I work in the finance function at GE Appliances. I'm a senior finance analyst. I work in this segment called GSP, Global Specialty Products, which is our segment where we sell all of our microwave ovens, our OTRs, our vent hoods, and disposers. So I've been in this role for a little over almost approaching a year, and I've been with GE Appliances for approaching about 5 years or so. I'm grateful to be here. I'm a Kentucky State University alumni, and so I'm grateful to be able to represent and be able to help in any assistance I can as far as in being on this panel.
So one of the things I like to do as we start the panel is I like to give folks some context. So I'm going to ask each of you all a few questions to give some background, because there might be something about you and your journey that some of our attendees can identify with. So Demetrius, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, and how did you end up at GE Appliances? What was your path to the company?
So I was originally invited to a Black MBA, like it was like a career fair that they were hosting on campus, and I just came over just to get some information, and I ended up meeting some of the finance leaders. Had no idea that I was actually meeting one of the CFO. We were just talking, and just so I happened to hit it off, and next thing I know, I just got recruited.
Awesome, awesome. And so what are some of the products and services your team is responsible for?
Yeah, like I mentioned a little before, we're in charge of like the countertop microwaves, the over-the-top microwaves. We handle like the vent hoods, the chimneys that are in homes, and so we're one of the share leaders in the industry in these areas too. So really proud of what we do here in this particular segment.
So how would you describe a day in the life for you at GE Appliances?
Typical day is filled with tons of meetings, tons of meetings, and as well as gathering information as far as in what's going on in the industry, as well as operations in order to help in forecasting. One of my main responsibilities is forecasting. And so a day in the life is meetings, meetings, and more meetings, and then being able to jump into our different ERP systems and just put the vision together so we can pitch it out to the rest of the team.
Awesome. And what would you say you like most about working at GE Appliances? Could be
I
anything.
think one of the coolest things about it is the fact that my team is so it's global specialty products. And so some of my team is across the globe. And so a segment of our team is over in China. And so some of our meetings, um, super early in the morning, some super late at night. But the beauty of it is that by no other means would I be able to have these relationships or conversations with these people if I wasn't in this role. And so this opportunity has afforded me to meet people that would have never had opportunity to meet in any other aspect. And so I'm grateful.
Okay, so now if you look at, so what was your degrees, and what were your degrees?
Yeah,
For
so my undergrad is in accounting.
okay.
And then my MBA is just business management.
Okay, so we got accounting undergrad and MBA.
Yeah.
So if someone had a similar background as you from an educational perspective, and they asked you for advice on what things in their education they would need to be sharp on, or what skills, to do well in your type of role, what
hmm
advice would you give them?
When I first, so I know I may just be slightly jumping ahead, and I also want to be mindful of timing. When I first when I first graduated, I was not as strong as I needed to be in Excel. And
Mhm.
so when I had my first internship, I interned with Price Waterhouse Coopers, and that was some of the feedback I hadn't gotten back. And so I had to really dedicate time and give myself over to studying how to improve in Excel. And even now, I'm still growing um, and getting even more proficient in Excel. And so that's one of the areas you want to kind of be very familiar with, because a ton of everything you'll do in finance will have something to do with working in Excel because of financial models, as well as um, even just understanding ERP systems, which host and hold data. But those some of the things that I wish I would have known ahead of time. But once I got into the career field, I had to do additional homework. I would have to go home and read books, and even in our case now, we look on YouTube to learn how to do these different functionalities and formulas that I just wasn't familiar with because I didn't have to when I was in college, unfortunately.
Awesome. I think that's great insight, man. So I appreciate you being a part of our panel. But
Absolutely.
wanted to, of course, introduce you and get a little bit of background and insight from you. Okay, next up, Dave, if you're ready, if you'd like to introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do at GE Appliances.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Dave Gibert. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you guys for having us, and thank you all for your time. Um, I work at GE as what's called an area sales manager, which is essentially a fancy word for I'm an appliance salesman, right? I do business to business sales with stores such as Home Depot, Lowe's, Best Buy, and I also do business to business sales with more mom and pop stores, local stores, which are called buying group and independent stores. So essentially, I'm part of the Mideast region, which has area sales managers in Michigan, West Virginia, Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. It's kind of like that cluster of states. Um, and yeah, we just drive GE sales. So we're kind of the engine that makes the car run. You know, we're the reason that kind of we take what the engineering team builds and what the product teams design, and we get it out to the market and make sure that they have what they need.
Awesome. So where are you from originally and where did you go to school?
I'm originally from Fort Washington, Maryland, which is right outside of Washington, D.C., and I went to Morgan State University up in Baltimore, Maryland.
Awesome. So what was your path or journey to now end up working at GE Appliances?
So my journey was a little bit different from what most people's journey probably will be in this group chat. So or on this call, I am a music major, actually. My undergrad degree is in music. I wanted to go to school to study something that I was really going to enjoy. And after I got out of college, I was kind of gonna, for lack of a better term, figure it out from there. So as soon as I graduated from college, I started submitting my application to a couple different places. I started off in sales, selling BMWs, so luxury automotive sales. I got my sales experience through BMW, and eventually I came over to GE through the commercial development program, which is a development program for the sales arm of the business. And after the commercial development program, I got my role out in the field.
So how would you describe a typical day in the life for you in your role?
So a typical day in the life for an area sales manager, it's a lot of customer facing, right? I have over 50 different accounts in the Wilmington, Delaware, Philadelphia, or all of Delaware area, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I have over 50 accounts throughout that entire swath of the country that I interface with. So it's a lot of sales training, training on new products, training on existing products, and just a lot of customer facing, solving issues, and providing the customer with adequate sales tools to make sure that they have the information that they need to sell GE appliances.
And that role, what is it that you like most about working at GE Appliances?
So there's kind of two different answers for that. The thing that I like most about the role itself is I really enjoy helping people, right? I enjoy helping people get to the end solution that they're trying to get to, right? That's the main job of sales, right? people come to you, they have either a need that they need solved or an issue that they need solved, and your job is to marry the customer to the product that suits their needs. So that's my favorite part about the job in general. But my favorite thing about GE Appliance is just the people, right? It's very rare that I will meet someone at GE Appliances that I have a negative interaction with. Everyone there is really helpful. Everyone there is very positive, and we're all trying to achieve the same goal. Whenever you have an issue, people are very quick to help. And so, really, it's just the people at GE that, for me, are my favorite part of why I'm here and why I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon.
Awesome. So if someone was to ask you, what skills you need to possess to do well in your job, what would be some of the skills you would recommend a person has or works on?
I would say it's a skill that you probably don't even know that you have, but a majority of us already have it, right? And it's just being a salesman, right? And it's not just selling a product or exchanging goods. It's never just about exchanging goods, right? When you go into job interviews, you are selling yourself, right? You're selling why I'm the best fit for your company. You know, when you're in a group project, you're selling your ideas. Hey, this is why I think that this is a good idea that we should implement going forward. So you might not really think of it as being a salesman, but you're a salesman in your everyday life, you know? So just honing those skills and really taking time to figure out how you can listen to people, how you can understand what essentially what their problem is or what solution you're needing to provide, and then just marrying the two together. In sales, it's a lot of listening more than you talk, right? So you're trying to figure out as much information from them as you can so that you can provide an adequate solution for them. And that, just like Mary said, communicating, influencing, and active listening, you know, right on the money.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, on that note, for those that are with us, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, drop your LinkedIn profile, and if you have questions as we go, or once we get to the live Q&A, feel free to drop those in. But next up, and thanks, Dave, for introducing yourself.
Yeah, no worries.
Next up, we have Komlah Havah, who is also an HBCU grad. So Komlah, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do at GE Appliances.
Hello everyone, my name is Komlah Havah. Currently I work as an electrical engineer at GE Appliance. I'm also in the Edison program they have here, which kind of allow me to get my master. In 3 years. So I started working here full time in around July 2023. So it's almost a year and a couple months now. As an electrical engineer, pursue my master's, and also I went to Alabama A&M University. That's where I went, and I graduated in 2023, May 2023, and since then I've been here working.
Where are you from originally?
Oh, originally I was born in Togo, West Africa. Then I come to the US in Alabama when I was 12. So that's where I stay for almost for the next 11 years before I moved here full time in Louisville, Kentucky.
How did you end up working at GE Appliances?
It was actually during the pandemic. They had a career fair, and during that time, the career fair was online, you know, because of the COVID and stuff like that. So yeah, just did an interview, and I was chosen, and I did a co-op. I did 2 co-op. Yeah, I take a whole year off. Once I finish my junior year, I just take a whole year off and just kind of do co-op here at GE Appliance, and I love it. And before I left, in the spring, before I left in the spring, I ended up doing an interview, and this summer before going to my senior year, they sent me an offer letter, so I accepted. So
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm here now.
So you said you have an engineering role. What are some of the products and services your team works on at GE Appliance?
So right now, in this program that I'm in, which is the Edison program, so I'm kind of moving around. Around the whole park. So for example, when I started working. I work in the dish. In the dish. Like dishwasher team. I'm as electrical engineer there. I worked there for like 6 months. Then from there, I went to washer and dryer. I did another 6 months there, and right now, I'm working with a refrigeration team. Um, yeah, that's kind of. I mean, do you mean
Yeah.
like more technical, or I'm trying to see what is
No,
that?
that's perfect.
Okay,
Perfect. Just
gotcha,
trying to
gotcha.
understand it. But you mentioned the Edison program. Sounds like a rotational program.
Yeah,
Can you tell us a little bit about that program and how you got into it?
yeah. I mean, this program. I mean, I kind of know about it. Once I started on the co-op and stuff like that, they kind of make us aware of it. And yeah, I mean, I mean, also during that time as a co-op, I also see like other Edison as well, because when you're doing a co-op, there will be like an Edison that will be kind of your Edison body and stuff like that. So you talk to him about his experience and stuff like that. So just, I mean, that's kind of where everything started. And yeah, like I said, once I did all my co-op, um, I mean, before I left, I just make sure. I mean, I ended up doing an interview for it, and I got chosen. Um, but basically, it's a program that they're trying to help you groom. I mean, it basically trying to groom you to be an engineer, because most of the time, let's be honest, with your bachelor is great, but still, still a lot of stuff that you don't really know. So this program is it just tailored to grooming you uh, to be a good engineer, but also to have diverse experiences as well. Because maybe if you finish your bachelor, you just come right away, and maybe not in this program, you might just end up just working in one product. But this program is 3 year long, so you get to every 6 months. I get to go around all these different products. So also help you with networking as well, and also it diverse your experience as well. So yeah.
So what do you like most about working for GE Appliances so far?
Uh, the thing that I love, I mean, at least in my role as electrical engineer, number one is the technical uh, part. Um, I find that very fascinating. Like even like uh, like I said, it's a lot of stuff that I don't know. And every day that I come, this is such a complex job that every time I come, there's always something new to learn. And that in itself, there's I don't feel bored at all. Like, because every single thing is always something new, always something new. That's one aspect. But for me personally, when it comes to working in anything, it doesn't really matter what field is in. For me personally, the most important thing is who I'm working with, because I feel like, for me to work effectively, I need to be concentrated, and it's hard for me to concentrate when I don't feel comfortable in my environment. So that's number one and foremost. And like, it just who I'm working with, the culture of the company, I love it. So yeah. Like
Awesome.
like Dave said, everybody's very, very helpful. Like, I have not had any bad experience with anybody so far. And that's just my personal experience. But yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's jump into our panel discussion and fireside chat. So Demetrius, Dave, Komlah, I'm going to ask a few questions. You feel free to chime in as you see fit. I'll try to propose the questions to different folks on the panel to get everybody involved. So I'm going to circle back to you, Demetrius, with this first question. What have been some of the major challenges and wins in your career thus far?
I will speak a little to what I had alluded to earlier. So when I first graduated, I was not as proficient in Excel as I needed to be. And so I had to do a lot of like homework in order to get caught up and to get caught up to speed as to what was required for me in order for me to do my job and initially in my career. But I also had to ask a ton of questions and be willing to work it, really hard. And so oftentimes a lot of, well, all my promotions that I've received in my career so far, even before I started working here at GE Appliances, all my promotions came from hard work and also being teachable and also being a good team player, because you're working with other individuals in different areas and functionalities and from different places. And so the way you bring your energy to a team helps, because even if you don't know as much as you would need to know, if you're teachable, someone will feel more, they'll be more compassionate and able to work with you if you're teachable versus having a bad attitude or a disposition about yourself that kind of gives you a cold shoulder. And so so the major wins that I've had has come from me working hard and also being teachable. And I would also like to I think that's something to be mindful of, because you're working with people from different areas of their lives and different segments, and you also just want to be mindful of that and your interactions with your coworkers and being thoughtful, as well as making sure you bring the intangibles to you every single day when you go to work.
Awesome. Thanks for that answer, Demetrius.
Yeah.
Dave, so to our candidates, if you have questions, I'm going to prioritize your questions in the chat over my questions that I have, because I want you all to get the most out of this. And I saw a question from Tangi Franks, and Dave, I saw you chime in on that. And the question was, what factors contribute to long-term career success at GE Appliances, and how can interns position themselves for not just immediate success, but for sustained growth? So Dave, if you want to share your insight on that for the benefit of everyone else on the call.
Yeah, so essentially what I had mentioned to Tangi is, it's about building relationships, but it's also about doing the work, right? So when you're building relationships, as you're moving from intern to co-op to development program to the field, as you're going through these roles, you're going to have different leaders in the organization. And one thing that's really nice about GE is there's a lot of upward mobility, right? So your leader, who was your leader when you're an intern, they might be the commercial director or the commercial, product leader for some other function of the business one day, right? So you want to make sure that that initial interaction that they have with you, you essentially want to maximize your, your face time with these people so that they remember the work that you did on their team. Or even if you didn't work directly on their team, again, these people that you're working for, eventually they're going to matriculate into other roles where they're going to talk to other leaders in the business, right? So they're going to say, hey, I remember that Dave worked on your team when he was a CDP. How was he? So how you want that conversation to go? Do you want that conversation to be, oh, I remember Dave, he was helpful, he asked a lot of questions, he was very invested? Or do you want to say, or do you want that conversation to be, oh, Dave, how do you want that conversation to go when someone brings up your name at the table? And again, a lot of that stems from doing the work, right? So you want to make sure that not only that people like you, but they like what you bring to the table, because it's 50-50, really. You have to be able to fit into the team culturally, or in energy wise, right? You have to be able to contribute to the team in that regard, but also you have to be an asset to the organization. So you have to make sure that you're sponging up as much information as you can while you're in each of these roles. And the more information that you sponge up, the more you'll be able to relay those roles, or relay your experiences from that role into the new roles as you move ahead.
Awesome.
If you just keep doing that, eventually, you'll have all the skills that you need.
Appreciate that insight. Okay, so the next question I'm going to pick up from the chat. Again, if you have questions that you want me to interject as a part of our discussion, drop those questions in the chat for me. The next one is from Gloria Joyner. I kind of know the answer to this question already. And the question is around, is GE Appliances interested in only entry-level roles or also established professionals? So the way I want to answer this question is, first I want to ask, for each of you all on the panel, did you come in as straight out of college, or were you more of an industry hire? For Demetrius.
Yes, that was industry hire, but I do know quite a few, speaking from the finance function, quite a few people who's come out of college into finance roles, and they have FDP program for finance early career professionals who are coming into GE that will help them do something similar to that, where the Edison program, very similar to that, where they'll kind of like put you in different rotations to be able to see the different functionalities in finance. And so but yeah, it's not just only for seasoned professionals. Definitely have entry-level areas for finance.
Dave, did you come in straight out of college, or were you industry hire?
Yeah, so it's similar to what Demetrius said. For me, I didn't come straight out of college. Again, I graduated with a music degree, and I didn't have any previous internships or any experience in the appliance sales role specifically. When I initially applied to GE Appliances, I did have experience with BMW sales, But I was relatively early in my BMW sales career, so they wanted me to get a little bit more experience with sales, and then they hired me on for the following role because we rotate as well, but it's a little different from how the Edisons or the finance program rotate. Um, but yeah, so I just got a little bit more experience in sales, but I do also know people who came straight from college into the commercial development program. I was actually one of the older hires for the commercial development program when I was there. Um, and really that stems from exactly what we're here to talk about today, which is internships, right? They had previous internships with GE Appliances. GE does a summer internship where you can actually work with the commercial development program. And quite a few people either did that internship or maybe they did it throughout the year. So quite a few of them did have that previous an internship, even if it wasn't industry experience. So it's kind of both, but you probably will need one or the other, right? You'll probably need either some sort of previous sales experience or some experience with internships.
And Komlah, you came straight out of college to work at GE Appliances, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to show with that is that we had 2 industry hires and 1 person that came in directly from college. The short answer to your question is GE Appliances has programs for interns. They have co-ops. They have programs for recent grads, and then they have a ton of opportunities for industry hires. So folks that already have the experience that they're looking for, that they're looking to bring into the company. As a matter of fact, we've done events with GE Appliances specifically for industry hires in the different sales organizations, et cetera. So I just dropped the link in the chat for where you can jump onto GE Appliances career site and check out the different opportunities. Okay, all right, so I'm going to pull from one of my next questions here. Actually, it's funny that last question was my next question, pretty much. Okay, so what locations are you all working from? Do you work from home? Do you go into a specific location? What's that like? So let's circle back to Demetrius to kick that one off.
Yeah, so I work I'm on camp on at Appliance Park in Louisville, Kentucky. There's different locations all across the country, again, even across the world. But yeah, I primarily work in the office. Sometimes I can, work from home if need be, but predominantly in the office, especially finance roles. Majority of work is, computer based, but sometimes you have presentations you have to do and you want to be, face to face for some of those. So yeah, that's a typical day with me.
Dave, do you typically work from a specific office or remote?
Yeah, so for my territory in particular, so all of the area sales managers have what's called territories, right? Sales territories. Some of them are heavily nationals focused. Some of them have more buying group and independents, so mom and pop stores. So each territory is kind of different or has different demands of the area sales manager. But for me, since I have a lot of national accounts, a lot of national account work is training store associates. So I am a remote worker, right? I'm working from my laptop at my apartment in Wilmington, Delaware. But again, my stores spread all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to central Pennsylvania, all throughout the entire state of Delaware, and even down to the Eastern Shore area of Maryland. So I spend a lot of time on the road. They do give you a company car, so you guys don't have to worry about mileage for your cars. But I spend a lot of time on the road. It's kind of 50-50 split. I'm typically like 3 days in the office, or 3 days on the road, 2 days in the office where I'm answering emails and things like that. So it's kind of a 50-50 split.
Cool. Komlah, are you working out of the office location? And if so, where? Or do you work from home?
For the most time, I just work. From the office. I come on site, and I work in Louisville. Yeah, most of the time I would gotta come in because sometimes most of my job also have to work in the lab and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just better to come in and do what I gotta do.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is I'm going to pull from my list here. It's about your HBCU experience. So how do you feel your HBCU experience helped prepare you for success in corporate America? And I think this will probably relate to a lot of folks.
Right.
But any insight you can offer, I'll circle back to Demetrius to answer that one.
When I was in college, I participated in different organizations on campus. The main one was Student Government Association. And so I held some leadership roles. Like my junior year, I was like the president. And then my senior year, I was on like the executive board. And so having having the responsibility of being one of the leaders for the student body, as a treasurer in particular, I was the treasurer in my senior year on the executive board. Being in those rooms with some of the the leaders of the staff, those opportunities actually gave me confidence and exposure. And so my HBCU experience helped build confidence. Again, coming from Detroit, Michigan, I was very unaccustomed to being in those type of scenes. And so getting the exposure and the confidence building, and also having people there that, that were pushing me forward, that helped me immensely. Even when I graduated, because my first job was working at my alma mater, Kentucky State University. And even to the point where, I went into the accounting floor and was working in that department for first 2 years. And so like building those relationships, getting that exposure, building confidence, all that is necessary, because you're going to need confidence in any area you go into, because you're going to have to know how to articulate yourself, as well as sell yourself whenever you're going to these different rooms, especially when you're in places where people don't look like you.
Awesome. So the question was, how do you feel your HBCU experience helped you in your role? So Dave or Komlah, did you want to add anything to that one, or?
I'll just add a little bit. It's mainly what Demetrius said, right? You're learning how to sell yourself in different rooms and how to adapt to different environments, right? And at HBCUs, you are typically around people who are, of a similar, aesthetic to you, right? But you just carry the same values that HBCUs instill in you to, the corporate world, right? So you're still trying to sell yourself to people, the people who are hiring you on. You're still trying to make sure that you're just putting your best foot forward, right? And I think that that's really a pinnacle of HBCU culture, is making sure that when you wake up in the morning, you're putting your best foot forward. So
awesome. Komlah, I'm gonna pivot to a different question for you. What is one thing you wish you knew before you started working at GE Appliances?
I mean, do you mean like full time, or you just mean like doing co-op, or just as a whole?
Either. Something that you say, I wish I knew this before I started working at the company.
I mean, really, I don't. For me, I don't really have that approach. I don't know. I've never thought about, wish I knew this, because for me, I mean, my posture is very simple. It's like, for me, I just kind of view everything as a learning. I feel like for me, I always trying to make sure, no matter where I am, to just have just like embody a learning attitude. Because I could say I wish I knew this before. It doesn't really matter. I'm here now. So for me, it just all, because whether you knew it or before or not, there's always something you can always say, I wish I knew. It doesn't really matter. You can learn it now. So that's kind of my approach.
Awesome approach.
Yeah.
So have any of you all benefited from mentorship during your experience at GE Appliances?
I'll piggyback on that last question and then transition to the next one. One of the things that I wish I would have known ahead of time was when I first came into corporate America, I was very introverted, meaning that I would just like to go to my desk, do my job. And so at different organizations, they have something called affinity networks, where you can be a part of and learn more things about what the company does, and different things that they offer, as well as being around other people that are like you, that'll help you in navigating this career that you're in. And so one of the things I wish I would have known was more like being a part of those affinity networks. And so one of the affinity networks, they even helped host this event that we're doing right now. It's called Black Excellence. And so these type of events and networks, and they have various ones for different, they have like a veterans network. All these different areas help you as far as in learning more about the culture and environment that you're a part of. And so that was one of the things I didn't know when I initially started, because I would just kind of go to my desk, do my job, and just be the end of the day. And I didn't branch out as fast as I needed to. And that helps in your mentorship, that helps you in meeting people, that helps you and you just expanding overall. And so I wanted to make sure I piggybacked on that. And also you had asked another question
about the mentorship. So have any of you all benefited from mentorship since being at the company?
Definitely. I've actually, even now I'm in a mentorship program for with finance, and there's things you just do not know because you haven't had the exposure to it. And so having someone that's more senior than yourself walk you through that and help you to feel comfortable about asking stupid questions, whatever that is, you'll find yourself being able to feel comfortable in those environments to grow and develop. And you almost need like some grass to land on instead of concrete. And that's what the mentor helps you with. And then if you do it well enough, that mentor becomes an advocate, and they begin to speak for you in rooms that you're not in, that'll help you and expand your career and help you go to places that you may not be able to go on your own.
Excellent, excellent. So for our candidates, if you have questions, we've got about another 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have questions, drop the questions in the chat, or you can use the raise hand feature within Zoom if you like to come on video and ask your question to the panel before we have to head out. All right, so next question I have, how can HBCU students leverage their network and resources both on campus and through alumni to land internships and job offers? So leveraging your networks, or any insight or experience you all might be able to add on that.
I could chime in here. I would say one thing that's a real benefit of HBCUs is once you tell someone that you're either from an HBCU or perhaps you're part of the Divine Nine. I'm personally a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So once you're part of the D9, or if you're part of the HBCU network, we just really enjoy bringing our own into the spaces that we're in, right? So you always want to, or you can leverage that opportunity simply by sharing that tidbit to maybe the person who's interviewing you or the hiring manager. Because again, we just enjoy seeing people from our background in the spaces that we're in. For example, now granted, she was my cousin, so there's a little bit of nepotism in there, maybe a little bit, but she also did go to Morgan State University. And she was she is an area sales manager with GE Appliances. And she just simply asked me, like, what am I doing for work? I had no idea, or of course, the appliances have to get to people somehow, right? But I didn't think about the fact that I could be a salesman for an $11 billion company, right? And so she just asked me what I was doing for work at the moment. I told her that I was selling BMWs, and she invited me to apply for the job. And then from there, now here I am with a career that I'll probably be staying in for the foreseeable future. So just using those opportunities to maybe even get introduced to spaces that you wouldn't even be aware of previously, and then just using those to launch your career from there.
Awesome insight. And I see you touched on a question as well from Janae Samuel, which was, what is the proper way to contact recruiters who do not have their contact information on their socials, such as LinkedIn? If you want to share your answer on that,
yeah. So specifically, I know with GE Appliances, we post all of our job listings. And with all of the job listings, there's a hiring manager. So you can just reach out directly to the hiring manager's contact information, I believe is typically included with the job posting. So I always tell people, reach out to the hiring manager. I'll share a little bit of how exactly I did get to GE. So I told you all that my cousin recommended the job to me. So at first, she just told me, hey, send me your application. I'll make sure it gets to the right hands. All right, well, didn't work out that time. I applied a second time, and that's when I got the info that I should get a little bit more sales experience before I'm ready for the job. So that's 2 times that I didn't get it. The third time that I applied is when I actually got the job. So I say all of that to say persistence is really key when you're looking for roles. Don't give up, right? unfortunately, in the world, there's not a whole lot of one and dones. There's not a whole lot of times where you're going to take one shot and you're going to bat 1,000 and it's just going to work out. You know, that happens sometimes and that's great, but you have to be persistent. And I did exactly what I was recommending to you. The first time when I got the first interview with the hiring team for the commercial development program, after that interview, I just constantly hit them up. I was like, hey, you know, do you guys have any info on where my application is? Do you guys have any openings? And I just hit them up a lot. I'm not saying to be a pest per se, but you want to show that you're interested in the job. You want to make sure that they know that you're invested in being a part of the team. So that persistence and just reaching out to the person who's hiring, just putting that extra mile of, hey, I really want this position. I really want to see what I can do to get this position. Because not all applicants are doing that. Some people send it out into the ether and they hope for the best. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but really following up and showing that sweat equity of, hey, I've done this since we last talked, or hey, since we last talked, I've thought about this. Just constantly, not constantly again, but reiterating your interest in the position and talking to the people who are making the decision.
It's funny, we do a lot of events with different companies, and we're talking to representatives and employees at the different companies. And a common theme from the people that we're speaking with is what you just said about, hey, the first time I applied wasn't it. It was the second or third time that I applied. Maybe it was for a different position, maybe it was for the same position at a different time, but they continued to apply and then they got the job that they wanted. I like the analogy. It's like being on a basketball court and they ask me, can I make a 3-point shot? The answer is yes. But the second part of that is, well, how many times does it take you to shoot that shot before you make it? Now I know I can make the shot, but I might have to shoot it 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Make it. And the other part of that is, if you don't take the shot at all, like if you don't apply for that job at all, you're not going to make the shot. You're not going to get the job. But if you apply, it might not be that first time, might be that second time or that third time. So definitely take advantage. So with that being said, don't forget that in the exhibit hall within our event, GE Appliances is represented. They have a booth. You all can go and introduce yourself to some of the recruiters and folks that are working the GE Appliances booth, and introduce yourself, share your resume, and network with the folks from the team. Also, I imagine Demetrius, Dave, and Komlah are also on LinkedIn. So you all have the opportunity to network with them as well. So any final words before we close out? We're almost at time. So I'll give you the first word.
Thank you, guys. Grateful for just this opportunity. And you guys, if I never get a chance to meet any of you all face to face, I want to let you all know that you guys have everything it takes to do these jobs and go into these career fields. And don't let anyone hold you back or even stereotype you. What your degree tells you is that you can do it. That lets you know you can do it. And so applying yourself and going the extra mile and working hard, you will definitely be able to achieve your goals and dreams, and don't let anyone steal that away from you. Lastly, I would like to say is the program that helped me to get my very first internship is called Inroads. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but it helps. It's a nonprofit organization that helps people of color get into corporate America. And so if you are in need of an internship, Inroads is the program that helped me a few years ago. And I definitely believe that's a great asset for you if you haven't had opportunity. Just want to leave those thoughts with you all. Kentucky State University, Inroads, INROADS, Inroads.
Yeah, I got my first internship through Inroads as well. Part of the inspiration for doing HBCU Connect to help continue to provide opportunities like this for all of you.
Perfect.
Yeah. Dave or Komlah, did you want to add anything before we close out?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick one. Speaking of basketball analogies, there was a man and his son. They were at courtside at a basketball game. Steph Curry invited his son to come up and shoot some 3-pointers with him. And his son said, I don't want to go because what if I miss, right? And his dad, when they got in the car, he was like, why didn't you go shoot with Steph Curry? And his son was like, I don't know. I was nervous about missing. Maybe I'll do it next time. And his father was like, well, when's the next time you're going to be on the basketball court with Steph Curry, right? The point of that story is there's no time like the present. You only get I'm not going to say you only get today for the opportunity, but if the opportunity is in front of you today, there's no time like the present. So just use as much of yourself as you can to go after the things that you want. And again, when's the next time you're going to be on the court with Steph Curry?
Awesome. Hey, Shane, I saw you had a question. I'll give you the last question, Shane. If you want to come on video and audio. Mr. Hadger. I don't know if he had to drop. Komlah, did you have any last advice or last thoughts?
I really don't have too much to say, but yeah, but I guess kind of like, I mean, I guess most of the stuff has been said by Dave and Demetrius, just, I mean, I know how it was like for me to just get my first internship. It was like constantly applying, applying until eventually it happened. But I guess, yeah, persistence and persistence and just keep trying, I guess. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say, but I just want to say thank you everyone for being here, and yeah, I don't have too much. Yeah.
Thank you.
No
Now, I
problem.
appreciate the GE Appliances team. Thank you all for joining us and sharing your insight to our candidates. Definitely stop by the GE Appliances booth in the exhibit hall. If you're not familiar, if you haven't gone into the event space yet, it's simple. Just go to careerfair.hbcuconnect.com and click the login button. If you haven't registered yet, just fill out the form. And after you fill out that form to register, it'll take you into the event. All right, so I'm going to get ready to jump to the next session, which is with, let's see, what our next session is with Bank of America, and we're talking about confidence, a key to career success. So thanks again to the GE Appliances team. We appreciate you, and see you all at the rest of the event. Take care. Thank you all.
Thank you again.
Yep, thank you.